Well, this morning, the search picked back up for a missing boy in Walker County. This is 4-year-old Jonathan Boley. He was last seen about 48 hours ago. WVTM 13's Lisa Crane is there right now at the scene where search efforts are underway. Lisa, what's going on today?
Well, he's been very busy here. We're on Highway 195 in Walker County, and 4-year-old John Boley was at his dad's house, which is just across the road here. You can almost see the roof there through the trees there. When he disappeared on Wednesday, authorities have been launching drones. You can see there are searchers, too, right down the road here. You can see them in the orange vest there. They have been pouring into this area to help search for John Boley. Now, they are getting a lot of help. As I mentioned, dozens and dozens of volunteers pouring into this area to help in the search, covering hundreds of acres around the father's home. This is a very wooded, rural area. Authorities are using dogs, divers, helicopters, and ATVs to look for this 4-year-old missing boy. Fire crews from Cahaba Valley, Irondale, Pelham, Rocky Ridge, and Vestavia also assisting in the hunt. ALEA officers are actually positioned just down the road here. They've set up a roadblock. They are stopping every car that comes through to show them a picture of John, asking everyone if they have seen this 4-year-old little boy, as well as his dog that's also missing with him. Now, John's father, Jamison Boley, was taken into custody yesterday when authorities thought they had found explosives on his property. They later determined they were not explosives. We have just learned, though, that he has been charged with a chemical endangerment of a child charge, and he was originally charged with unlawful manufacturing of a destructive device. Now, Walker County Sheriff Nick Smith is planning to update us on this case at noon, so just under an hour away, at a church just down the road here that's kind of serving as a staging area for everyone who's involved in this search. We're going to bring you any new information that we learned during that press conference at noon on our website and our app. Live in Walker County, Lisa Crane, WVTM 13.
All right, Lisa, thanks so much. We appreciate you staying on top of that. Well, you may be wondering why this case did not issue or trigger an Amber Alert. Well, an Amber Alert must meet all of these criteria. First of all, law enforcement can confirm that a child has been abducted. The child is under the age of 18. They are also at risk of serious bodily harm or death. Also, there's a good description of the child, the abductor, and or suspect's mode of transportation. This allows for critical data, including names of the
So it wasn't issued an Amber Alert. Let's get over into this next video where they talk about the child bodies being found.
Authorities say they found the body of a 4-year-old boy who was reported missing on New Year's Eve day. That's December 31st. Let's get right to NBC News correspondent George Solis. George, this was an urgent days-long search now with a tragic ending. What more should we know?
Yeah, Clay, it really is just one of those stories that gets you and rips you to your core here. The sheriff of this county briefing the press a little bit ago with this really tragic update, thanking the volunteers first for their countless hours out there in all sorts of conditions trying to search for 4-year-old Jonathan Boley. As you mentioned, he was reported missing Wednesday by his father. You see the volunteers there searching some of that terrain. Let's get right to what the sheriff said just moments ago.
Like so many of you across our community, we're devastated, and we're devastated by this news. Jonathan was an adventurous boy, and he loved the outdoors. I ask you to be respectful to the family. You know, this is going to be a very hard time. It's going to be a very hard time for our community.
As in Clay, and this announcement from the sheriff here, Nick Smith, comes only hours after he addressed the media earlier this morning, telling people to leave no stone unturned, to look at their property, to look at ring cameras, tree stands, anything in the hopes of finding this young boy. He had mentioned that he had been traveling with his dog, his Labrador mix, Bucks. There was a big hope that they would still be together. And tragically, Zing Clay, the sheriff announcing that they did find that dog, Buck. He was still with Jonathan when they found him. Zing Clay.
Just devastating, George. And briefly, I know we reported.
They said the dog was still with the man's best friend.
Earlier that the boy's father was facing charges for a separate incident. What did authorities say about that?
Yeah, the sheriff not getting into too much detail about this, but NBC News obtained court documents. The father was initially taken into custody for explosives that were found at the home. Those charges were later amended because authorities say they found basically drug-making material, drugs, at the home as well. And so he was also charged with child endangerment for exposing his children to meth. But there's obviously a lot more to that part of the investigation. Right now, the sheriff focusing on this particular tragic updates in Clay.
We thank you for.
It's a tragic situation no matter what, and it's even harder hearing that the dog was still with the body. Well, let's get over into the AI breakdown, how I like to do it, and just go into it. So as we know, on January 2nd, today, the body of the 4-year-old Jonathan was found in Walker County, Alabama, following a search that began on New Year's Eve. The child was found about 2 miles from his father's home of Jasper. Discovery, a volunteer conducted a grid search, um, locating Jonathan's body near a creek and heavy wooded area. The family dog, his dog Buck, who had disappeared with him, was found alive next to the boy's body. Next to the boy's body, which is not surprising because dogs would do that. Especially your pet, they will stay with the body. You've seen videos of, especially when someone dies and go into the funeral, the dog is there. The dog wants to get into the coffin with them. Absolutely tragic. So foul play. So initial reports from the sheriff indicated that there were no immediate signs of foul play, suggesting that the boy may have wandered off while playing with his brother. So the father, as we know, they talked about the father being arrested. He faces charges, chemical endangerment of a child and unlawful manufacturing of destructive devices. Reason for arrest: law enforcement discovered explosive material and methamphetamines in and around the home during the search of his son. So legal status: a judge set his bond at $300,000, citing him to be a danger to the community. So he was first arrested Thursday after explosive materials were found at his home. So Jonathan lived in Florida with his mother and was visiting his father for 5 days visitation period at the time he disappeared. A vigil for the child schedule is at 7 p.m. today. 5 days. That's how long he was away from his mother. For 5 days during a visitation period. So right now they're not issuing anything saying any foul play. He might have just wandered around, but I want to know what the cause of death is. Well, it's going to how it's going to take a while for us to figure that out, but maybe it could be a week, it could be 2 days. We don't know how long it's going to take for us to find out how he died. But depending on how he died, more charges will come for the father. And now they said that they mentioned the father had methamphetamine around his home. I wonder if he was just high, didn't notice. How does that play into account for his parenting skills? It's a tragic situation. 4 years old. I can't imagine how the mother is feeling. Oh, the mother. Let your son go with the father for 5 days, and he ends up dead. It's a tragic situation, but these are the kind of stuff that we got to review together. At the end of the day, please look after your kids. Please look after your kids. Absolutely crazy situation, y'all. Let me know your thoughts on the situation. Let me know if you disagree with anything I said. Do you think the father had anything to do with it? Does the methamphetamine play into a part? We just got to wait for more information to come out from when the autopsy done.